Oh, I said Dark Souls. The screen says Dark Souls. We're playing some Dark Souls. Because Irby said so. I'm really not kidding. I wasn't considering doing a stream until the moment when Irby said, "Are you doing a stream tomorrow?" Possibly facetiously. So yeah, I should have pressed this button. I'm pretty sure I've pressed all the buttons. I tried to press all the buttons. I did have the stipulation of whether I woke up before 7, and I woke up at 6. Curiously, right around the time when I normally have to wake up for work. That's probably a coincidence, right? The schedule hasn't changed. The one last week was out of the blue, and this one I suppose is as well, but whatever, we're here now, that's what matters, right? This is not far into Dark Souls 2 at all. Ow. Bitch. Stop it. Oh, I did it again. I made this the GIF. I made a GIF of this because it amused me so much, and I just did it again. That's normally the button I press to do good things, and it does a bad thing. I don't even need to go that way. What the hell am I doing? Stop it. They didn't stop it. That's a good sentence, Irby. Why were you doing the occupants of an elevator? That has to be the core, right? That wouldn't be the tower. There's no elevators in a tower. But piece of shit. Why is Penguin Boy responsible for the elevator killing people? I like that little trap. See, that's what I usually want to do when I do that dance. But that's not what happens when you two-handing it. Mapping's weird, isn't it? Trapped chests. I forgot that existed in this game. Oh, the health lowering. I think in general, based purely on what I've heard from other sources, that the health lowering mechanic was somewhat frowned upon, but I think it's not so bad. So every time you die, for people who aren't in the know, people like Irby, every time you die in Dark Souls 2, your max health lowers a little bit until you use one of those things to restore your humanity, and it brings your health back up to the proper max. I don't know how anyone was supposed to figure this door out. Like, I guess attacking it isn't an unreasonable assumption to make given the other one up there, but having enemies open it for you? That's just weird. This is going poorly. I'm gonna have to use one of those soon because this life isn't starting not to cut it. Maybe a little bit. I mean, you don't start with a whole lot of those human effigies, and that's somewhat dissuasive in the early game to, you know, keep using them liberally, but eventually you end up with plenty. Should go and light that torch, just because I can't leave a torch unlit. Not crazy. I'll be back down there in a second. I don't know if sometimes lighting torches does things. Not necessarily very obvious things, but things. Should get that one down below while I've got it. No, I'll be back. I would say that in general, it's a little bit faster. Also, what Peb says there, I'd say in general, no, that's not what I meant. So I would like to do something with that face thing down there, but I don't have what I need. I'd say in general it's a bit faster, it's a bit more, a little bit more sudden, maybe slightly less fluid, but slightly less fluid looking, but more fluid feeling, if that makes any sense.
Hello there. Traveling all alone in these treacherous times. Well, I hope you have a very good reason. Oh, hogwash. Who am I to judge? My name is Pate. I journey hither and thither on a sort of treasure hunt, you might call it. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey upon travelers like yourself. Oh yes, you be cautious if you go any farther. There's treasure in there for certain, but the entrance locks from behind. I saw the same design earlier, and it's the same contraption, I'm sure. I was with this warrior, you see, and he insisted that he go inside first. The rather brusque fellow tried to swipe the loot for himself, but it trapped him inside. I still have the gent's ring. I do hope he wasn't harmed. I'll leave this one to you.
I definitely died the first time I came in here. Because they throw really quite a lot of folks at you. Not so bad when you've got some range on everyone, I suppose. Maybe it is. Maybe I turned that down long ago. Let's see if I can turn voice up a bit. Everything's a bit low. But then voice was always kind of low in Dark Souls, wasn't it? That save. Leave it there. How about that? I definitely ramped up the voice volume in Dark Souls 1. yeah. Isn't there an illusion here somewhere? That's right, you don't attack walls in Dark Souls 2, you test them, use them if you will. There's a lot more hidden doors in Dark Souls 2 than Dark Souls 1, I dare say. These two messages are related. You have to go along this top way if that, because that gate stays closed if you die in there, and if you want that stuff you've got to come, well, this way. The high road. Fair. I don't think I can get back up over there, so... Okay, guess I have to drop down.
Well, I see you managed to escape. I hope that brave warrior didn't come a cropper either. Be careful out there. There's talk of unsavory bandits who prey upon
You already said that.
Oh. But you should take this. It allows undead to call out for help to one another.
Lets you summon
across
people.
the fissures between worlds.
No. It lets
With
you
luck,
get summoned.
somebody will lend you a hand.
No. Yes? Definitely. That's weird.
Well,
Phrased it a
be
bit weirdly,
careful.
but that's fine. It does, doesn't it? I'm a sucker for torches. Is that how it happened? Interesting. He also stipulated it should be played a bastard. One of them dropped their weapon. Be nice. There can't be that many penguin boys in rolls right now. I might as well, seeing as I plan on using one of these sooner or later anyway, I might as well equip this crossbow. I don't have enough strength for that crossbow. I also don't think I have any ammo for it, so that's hardly an issue. I think that's going to be a bigger problem. I like this very subtle... I didn't even notice the ladder had come up here at all the first time, but this pretty much serves as a very subtle hint to a mechanic that exists in this game, namely this shadow being cast by nothing. Apparently they're scattered throughout the game. They never drop anything particularly important, because of course they don't, but oh fuck. Hasn't gone well. Give me a second, I'll get back up there. It's an interesting touch. It's good that it's never crucial to find any of those invisible fellows, but they're there if you look for them. I can never make that jump. Probably not important. Probably. I don't remember what's up there. That's... yes, thank you. Weapon durability. And durability in general is more of a thing in Dark Souls 2. I should probably be careful. I wasn't careful enough. We'll get to a boss soon. I just gotta stop getting myself killed. There are a couple of side areas that I could go explore now. Namely, up there, right in front of me. An area that I kind of ran past down there earlier, and also... we'll get there, we'll get there. So equipment durability, unlike the first game, isn't just that's pretty good. Isn't just a thing that occasionally you need to pay for some money to upkeep your weapons and everything. It's much more of an active going concern. Your durability comes back every time you rest at the bonfire, but there's a lot less of it, generally. A lot less durability, I mean. Those guys at the top throw bombs. Those barrels explode because they've got bomb stuff in them. You can attack them, you can roll through them. You don't want to light them on fire. Unless you want them out of the way, in that case, attack them with fire all you damn want. I think most of the backstab animations are more interesting in 2 than 1. We've got a lot of impact in 1, but they're cooler in 2. How about I just... rather than let them do it for me when I'm not ready for it. I went through that. Just trying to make sure I don't forget where I'm going, where I've been. That bugger going. What worries me that some of those enemies just buggered off is that I'm worried they're gonna show up randomly when I'm not expecting them later. Fair warning, but here we are. I'd rather take those little hits than roll and risk rolling right the hell off. Because knowing me... if you try and go behind them and get a backstab, they'll just fall on you, and that really hurts. You don't want that. What else? This way. I kind of like how many fog walls there are early on in Dark Souls 2 that aren't bosses. Because if you played Dark Souls 1, you know what those fog walls usually mean. And they just keep faking you out for quite a while in the early parts of the game. Here's a shortcut back to where we were earlier. Just up that ladder over there is the bonfire, which I should probably rest at, given that I have no Estus. Get too distracted. What if I try out the halberd? That's spear-like. Got a higher damage rating. Oh, yeah, it needs quite a lot more strength than I've got. Bugger. About the winged spear. Needs quite a lot more dexterity than I've got. Let's spend some of these souls, shall we? Before we go and get ourselves to the first boss. Which is really not quite far away. What the hell am I trying to say?
Bearer of the curse, seek lest this lands.
Yes, yes. Do the level up thing. 2 points into strength for the crossbow, and some points into dexterity for whatever the hell I end up using. The ability to walk between any bonfires does draw away from the interconnectedness of Dark Souls 1, but also it just makes getting around so much easier. It's hard to get too annoyed at it as a element of the game. I want my life back. Guess I'll just have to keep using the trident. You don't really want to go in there anyway just yet. It's the fellow we were talking to just earlier. This person just has big old shield. There are some bosses that I'm going to summon NPCs for, regardless of how many times I've done it and getting annoyed with it, because some of the NPCs quest lines, if you will, do require being summoned a certain number of times. Just for disclosure. But here we go, inaugural boss. Fortunately, they start pretty easy, as you'd expect. I'm probably going to get myself killed because I've said that. Oh. This could be a problem. But I use this one-handed so that I don't do that. Or I just do normal stabs. No, that's my weakness. What did I tell you? Oh well. He's got nice and telegraphed moves. Well telegraphed, rather. Which you would want from an early boss. It's certainly a lot less throw you in the deep end than Dark Souls 3's first boss. But we'll get to that. I don't know if a spear would be the best thing for this fellow anyway, but... I do have other weapons I could be using, but my dedication is... to the spear for now. Or at least pole arms. The spear's a pole arm, isn't it? I could try dancing, but that doesn't actually buff me, I don't think. So there's really not much point. I was out of stamina. That went pretty much the exact same way as last time. I shouldn't be dying to this thing. Shameful. Or maybe it's just because when we played through this last time we were summoning and just steamrolled it. Let's face it, it's easy enough with one person, but two people just makes it laughable. Doesn't really have much in the way of crowd control, even if that crowd is consisting of two people. A microphone. microphone is right in front of my soul number and I would like to move it. So I did. Not helping. Wasting Estus on that. I say instead wasting something more less expendable. It didn't seem like an ideal move for you to make, but what do I know? Ooh, is the rolling move a spinny stab? I haven't really tried it. I'll keep that in mind. Spindly legs, it can be difficult to hit, especially with this goddamn weapon. I really shouldn't keep going for that. It's not that useful for me to keep trying to do it. That's better. That's the first boss of Dark Souls 2. I mean, it doesn't have to be the first, but you probably should. I wonder if that boss is optional, technically. He dropped a key. I gotta bring up the list though, don't I? Provided no one... I really should have done it before I stepped on the elevator, because I don't want to get murdered while I'm looking at the list. Where the hell did you come from? Head back to the bonfire first. I think they fell? Something gave me souls just then. Okay, this time. What was he called? The Last Giant? Why'd my controller vibrate? I'm suspicious. Knowing my luck, I'm gonna get invaded while I'm here. I think, unlike Dark Souls 1, you don't necessarily have to be human to be invaded. It's just considerably more likely. We'll get to that. There is some interesting lore with that boss, which otherwise seems like you just run in there and kill some mad old nearly dead thing. But there's another boss for that. The Last Giant, pretty easy. It's I think the Last Giant fills a similar role to Asylum Demon, possibly a little bit better at it, as the attacks are easier to dodge, but it does encourage dodging. In general, a bit harder than Asylum Demon, but not only because Asylum Demon does bugger all damage. The Last Giant is a bit more of a proper boss, so to speak. I'd probably be willing to put it around Number 11. It's a good fight for where you are in the game. Assuming you fight it at the start. But you should. I don't know that you necessarily have to. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe just above Centipede Demon. Number 11. That seems like a good spot. What's this keep? A drag? I don't know what. It keeps moving stuff and I don't know why. Anyway, that's where the first Dark Souls 2 boss is going. Good, better than average spot there, I'd say. And I'm happy with that. You can seem like whatever you want, Pabs. Is that supposed to be a diss? On the bosses, at least? Now I've got a bunch of souls and I would like to spend them before. Let's have a quick chat to this lady. You have anything that I want? Particularly? A headpiece increases the number of items you get from enemies, and I would like that, but I'm not that desperate to waste my money just yet. I might buy that. And a couple more of these. Some of these. It's nice to have a variety. The rest should probably be for leveling up. Also, I never gave the key back to what's his name. I should probably do that. I think there's still a spread of quality, even if they're not necessarily the most what's the word? It might be a bit middling as fights go, maybe flawed in some way, but I think there is still generally a quality spread. Hair all over this thing. I shed too much. Anyway, do I have an SS? It gives you that prompt anyway. Never mind. Guess I'll just keep doing Dex for now. I should probably drop some points into some other things. Keep my equip load high, my life high. If I go 20, then I can equip a proper spear that I'm not going to keep dancing at people with. Let's do that. That's what that would let me equip. Was it the winged spear? I got the numbers wrong. I didn't need that much anyway. No matter. Let's equip that anyway. How does this work? Poke. Bigger poke. Lots more pokes. Jump. Swing.
I'm a blacksmith. Bring.
They're happy?
Ah, yes, very good. Now I can get to work. But first, let me set up. Come again later.
Stuff. He probably sells bolts, doesn't he? I've got to get him off someone at some point. I wonder if just sitting at the bonfire is enough. Has he moved? Do I have to leave? Nope, he moved.
You, stand back. This is dangerous work. The name's Lenigrast, just a simple blacksmith. And you are?
Oh yeah, there's a window right there, isn't it?
Another useless traveler. A man ought to labor with his feet planted firmly in the earth.
Got bad news for you.
Not roam around like you flirtatious vagabonds. Oh, what does it matter? Go on, show me what you've got. Your equipment. Let me have a look.
Need to repair anything? Bye. Let's get some wooden bolts in because I can actually buy some of those. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a whole lot more here. Does sell spear, but wing spear is probably better anyway. I don't remember where I got the wing spear. It must have been somewhere. So it does the usual reinforcement stuff. God, this inventory menu is so much better than Dark Souls 1. Worth noting. They've really improved on some things, even if they also changed a lot of things. That was generally my takeaway from my first playthrough of Dark Souls 2, that they learned a lot of lessons between the games. It was a Havel. Like most systems that maybe weren't the best or weren't especially well thought out in Dark Souls 1, they made better. They made improvements to, even things that I didn't think of the first time. Now where should I go first? Let's go this way first. The key that I got off of that boss does let me get a couple of places. I think this does pretty comparable damage to the trident, but also I actually get a proper heavy stab with two hands. There's one of the doors that I can open. There's an item that I'm interested in, and possibly one of the ones that I might end up using properly. I don't know if I can use it now. No, I need more strength. Quite a lot more strength, actually. Do I antagonize this fellow? Probably not. Too late now. You're not so tough. Oh shit. I forgot they did that. Remember, if you can get backstabbed, let's try. I'm not doing very well. Things usually aren't that bad. But then when you start bumping into them more frequently and later in the game, you're also quite a bit stronger. Just let me see your back. Come on. You like that. Not that you get much for antagonizing that one, because I'll get through this door anyway. This will stay mysterious for quite a while. Because you need the symbol of the king. Restoration. Gradually restores HP. So rings also have a durability in this game, which they did not in the first one. I think it's more or less the same system. As you take damage, some of that damage will chip away at the durability of the ring. I want to go and light that torch. There's also small torches that I would like lit in the direction that I'm heading. So this is not a complete waste of time. Ones that are more important to light. Because we'll soon be going somewhere quite dark, if I choose to go that direction. Not that it's especially bright in here. I have no memory of what the King's brand is. Oh, I didn't equip the bolts. That's gonna be a problem. I think heavily inspired would not be an unfair statement to make regarding Hollow Knight. I mostly enjoyed Hollow Knight. And then by the time I was finished, that opinion had changed. But I didn't mind it. Oh, that was a bit. It was a backstab, that's all you need to know. Stop it. Said stop it. I don't think I was aware that Pebs had played it. I'm out of drink. Someone get me some more, please. Please? Okay. I'm gonna keep going through that area because there's some stuff to pick up and I think there's an NPC over there somewhere too, which I would like to have a chat to. I may. Just got it. There's a lot of shit in this area. The ring that gradually fills your HP does so very slowly, so it's hardly a game breaker. Dark Souls 3 has some similar things. Dark Souls 1 didn't really get into that sort of thing. Gradual HP recovery. I gotta remember where the hell I'm going. I want to get over there. I've got to do so from the roof. I don't think I don't think the blessed stuff is in this game, Strider. I think that's a Dark Souls 3 thing, isn't it? That's one way, and I think you need to go that way to get back, so how about I go this way first? Yeah, I mean... I forgot about a boulder. There more? Or did I just somehow avoid that trap? Guess I just somehow avoided that trap. I'm pretty sure I ran right into that the first time. Ow. So, yeah, eventually the ring would heal you fully, but you'd have to be willing to wait, and I super am not in this circumstance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just daydreaming, I think. My name is Kale. I'm a traveler, like yourself. I'm navigating the continent to create a map. Why cartography, you ask? Well, that's a good question. When I first came to this forsaken land, it was... a curse? Something about a curse? How embarrassing. I seem to have lost my focus.
Not doing so
But I
well.
do know one thing for certain. I have always been very fond of maps. I came to this Drangleic, the Lost Kingdom. It sounded so romantic. Have you seen Majula? Oh, there's a rather spacious mansion there. I've made it my temporary home. Well, as something of a squatter, I'm afraid.
No one else is
Inside
it?
the mansion, I found a strange map, like none I'd ever seen. I believe that it's a map of Drangleic. Now I'm traveling the land to prove it. Yes, that's it. That's why I came to the kingdom. Wait. No, that wasn't it. Then what? I don't seem to recall. Were you looking wonderful? Then you're fascinated by maps, just like me. Shame on you. You should have told me before. Here. What a joy to meet a kindred spirit out here. Incredible, really, isn't it? Oh, I would not venture deep into the mansion. I can't be certain, but I've heard disturbing noises. Something about it feels wrong. Just be careful, please.
Yep, don't go that way. I'm trying to split the difference because it seems that Dark Souls 2 has some fairly, let's say, generous spaces between voice lines. And sometimes I skip shit, but I'm simply trying to speed up those gaps. What the hell are you talking about? I think that's everything in that spot. I could go down here, but... Oh. Let's go down here. It's going to end poorly, I assure you. Possibly not for the reason that might immediately seem like it would. Because the skeletons are chumps. pretty sure that was a different skeleton, but I am worrying they reassemble in some mechanic that I've forgotten about. Because, you know, Dark Souls skeletons do have a tendency to do that. Priorities. I have them. And the skeletons are not them. More stamina than I've got. They're pretty generous with the torches. You don't actually get more torches, it just extends how long you can have your torch out by like 5 minutes or something. And you'll eventually just have way more than you actually need. Not wrong. Not wrong at all. You've left and then left. Again, not wrong. The greater verboseness of the messages does allow for some more specific warnings. Arrows are gonna get annoying. I'm glad you didn't hit me that last one. I was not expecting an extra hit. Should probably get used to this in this area. Good, good. Or possibly bad, but good. Let's just take a peek up here, shall we? Bound to happen sooner or later. I don't think I strictly need to go into that area. I hate to leave something unfinished, but maybe I'll just come back to that one. I'll take it. You bugger. There can be trouble. They're not so bad one-on-one, but at the moment you start getting other things into the mix, it can really mess you up. Also, you got to be pretty good on timing your dodges and everything if you want to take them all, because they take a beating. It's that big old armor. You can... okay. There is someone following me. strikes, plus damage isn't the best for these things. You can tell that just from how much more damage my rolling swing did, because that's impact damage. I probably shouldn't be fighting this thing yet. But fellows like this show up multiple times throughout the game, so you do well to get good at fighting them. I was never that good at fighting them, honestly. Especially once they start mixing up the fancy moves. Fortunately, most of the normal attacks are quite dodgeable. You hardly even need to roll. Yeah, I know you don't skip it, it's just maybe I should have seen the boss first. Also, they've got a lot of life. Stop it. That close. I don't think the spear's reach was helping that much in that fight. You generally, because all of his moves move him so far forwards all the time, you're pretty much always right next to him anyway. I don't know if you get to fight him again. I think you've pretty much only got one shot. Which is a shame, because he drops pretty good souls if you do beat him. I'm an idiot. I just want the stuff. Yeah, I think you only get one shot at fighting that one. All the other ones will go up quite insistently though. I don't know if that thing can climb ladders. I'd rather not find out. There's less physics weirdness in this one than Dark Souls 1, but there's still the odd hint. It also seems that the one that's here doesn't do some of the shittier moves that they later do. I don't even know if the boss one does them. Speaking of which, might as well head that way now. I don't want you following me. I know full well there's one behind me. I see them over there. I just had a little bit of trouble with these two that run through here at the same time. always one with the shield up? The guard break is handy if you can use it. It's basically the replacement for the kick in the last game. Which means you don't get quite as many opportunities to, say, kick something off a ledge. But it can be more useful for the shielded folk. At least with lesser shields like that. I don't remember if it's in this game or Dark Souls 3, but sometimes you can do a riposte like a move via a guard break. But like I say, might be the wrong game I'm thinking of. They blur together a little bit in some ways. Especially 2 and 3 because A, I've played those less, and B, they're more similar, I would say, in feel. I'm gonna use another effigy because I need life. Dark memories of this place up here. Bad things happened here. One thing I really don't like about Dark Souls 2 is that weird vignette on the start of the boss intros. It's a bad effect. Here's the proper fight. Can't really do a roll and do a swing with this thing. Not doing a very good job of dodging. You don't want to get hit by that. Slightly more than you don't want to get hit by every other attack. I wonder if this has comparable life to the other one. I shouldn't be afraid to use life gems. Just because they're consumables, that's the problem. Remember that move. I don't know how much life they restore, but I hope it's enough. I've always had a little bit of trouble with Pursuer. And you do bump into a lot of them. This is just the boss one. I would probably also be getting better mileage out of something with a bit more, let's say, impact damage. Strike, I believe, is what they call it in this one. It's probably striking all of them and I'll start up infecting my brain. I don't have a whole lot of strike damage. Let's see. I probably shouldn't have done it here, but let's see if I can get better use out of this thing. Just because my spear isn't especially... If I had a regular spear, which I could go and buy one from Len, whatever his name is, Len. I've made mistakes. I should probably go and buy a regular spear. That's not a backstab. Yep, great. How about I go and buy that regular spear? Do I have enough soul items? Have I gotten any soul items? They're not quite as prolific, I think, as the later games. If I buy a regular spear, I'm pretty sure that's got a... its strong attack is a swing. Pretty sure. I'm willing to waste some soul items if I'm wrong. How much do I need? 1400.
Don't listen.
Shut up. I don't know how much these give you. That was enough though.
What? I'll be...
I think generally strike damage is better for heavily armored fools. So we'll see if this gets me anywhere. There we go. If you keep trying to do it, it goes in a stab. I could probably do 2 of those. I keep forgetting that you also need to hold down to slide down. I didn't appreciate that. Albin Fool is probably still following me. Apparently I'm calling everyone fools now. You bump into these things later and they're a lot more dangerous, and I'm not 100% sure what the difference is. I think I might just have more life, more damage. Could you not? Hang on, let me equip a bolt so I can try out using a bolt on. Very effective. 150. I think I was doing like 75 before. Combo of 2 of those should do nicely. Getting through this much quicker, which means I'm more likely to survive. This fight was the first one in my first playthrough when I realised that damage types in Dark Souls 2 were going to be more important. And they are. It makes a lot more difference, which is a good thing, because it makes the variety of weapons actually more meaningful. This is going nicely now. Sometimes all you need is the right weapon. That was close. I need to heal. Or I want to heal at least. I probably didn't need to, but... Right, gestures. I think I have to get in the habit of doing that again. This was always the good one. I don't care what you praise the summoners think. You know who I'm talking to. There's also these, but good luck getting a chance to use them while you're solo. Effective if you can get them though. Yeah, I think Pursuers... How did the game describe it just now? I don't have an instant replay where I can see the name, but... Strider, do you have that GIF on hand? Maybe in a form where I could bring it up? I wish I could alt-tab without bringing everything down. Is there a way to just switch focus without alt-tabbing? Do I realise that's what alt-tabbing is for? Let's put Pursuers somewhere around here, shall I? I'm being told to check SNC. So if I just swing this Discord channel into the stream... I believe this was from one Strider's point of view. Also, I suppose I have to bring this back up, don't I? There's Strider, there's me over here on the right. And Ebbs is off screen. Now, who is that Aria, you might ask? And you would be right to ask. Actually, as long as I've got that Discord open, what did it call the boss? Was it Pursuer? The Pursuer, how it refers to it. Also, I've got that audio playing. It's fine. Okay, so we need a number 29. The Pursuer. Yes. I like... I've always had a bit of trouble with the Pursuer. Not so much that boss, but later on. I guess we're only talking about the boss, aren't we? I'll hold on to that thought. We'll see it later anyway, I'm sure. But yeah, I think the Pursuer is a good... I think it's a really quite a good step up from the Last Giant, because that's, you know, that gives the idea, yes, you've got to get good at this dodging. The Pursuer really hammers that home, because if you aren't dodging well by that point, you're going to die. And also because of the directionality of the attacks, I think that's really starting to hammer home. Like, it's not just about timing the dodging right, but also dodging in the right directions. But especially that when he does that 3 combo, the sword, the shield, and then whatever he does for the third one. Because when he swings his sword around, it comes so far out to the side, even if you roll that direction. And it happened to me multiple times, you probably noticed. But that attack, that first one, can still hit you even if you dodge, if you time the dodge well, simply because the sword is still swinging in that direction. It is. And if you're in multiplayer, you can get shot by your friends. So I'd probably put it above Last Giant, at least. And it's certainly more engaging than Four Kings. Maybe I'll think a little higher, maybe somewhere around here, maybe. Probably not above Manus. I think we're thinking around number 5 and 6, maybe? Thinking maybe number 6 for the Pursuer. It seems like a good spot for it. What colour should I give to DS2? I'm thinking green. It's so I've got to move it to do that. Never mind. I'll do that later. Because if I move this window, it fucks up the stream. So what did I do? Anyway. Oh, that's not... I wish I had a better setup for that. Too bad. Also like this scenery. The fight is in a good spot. Got this... It's a bit ruined. You've got these ballistas around. Pardon me. Big old statue head cracked open here. Not to mention the view. Being right next to an ocean is a nice change, I think, for Dark Souls 2. It's almost peaceful if you weren't actively getting murdered. There's... what do I need to do? I need to... probably don't need to stab these fellas, but I'm going to anyway. Yeah, you can examine these things and nothing happens, because why would it? I think there's also items down here, but let's go get it. Good spot. That armor is really quite heavy for when you get it, but it is quite defensive. So if you were planning a heavier build, that's a good place to get some early heavy armor. Does that seem like a sunrise or a sunset? I assume that's a sunset, right? That's who I am. I can't... apparently can't decide that. I distinctly remember when I was a kid, I don't remember how old, on Easter, at some point taking a nap and then waking up and not being able to figure out if it was morning or afternoon, and I decided wrongly and went and had some cereal. That's my story. you're the pursuer now. There's another big bird. Does Herbie like that? Hurrah for victory, but weakness, death. Boss, therefore try death? I have no idea what any of these messages mean. A dull ember. Remember the function embers had in the last game? It may or may not have that here. Now, despite the fact that we're in a new area and I just had a bonfire, and that there are things that I could do here, I'm not going to do those things. Do I have a homeward bone? I do have homeward bones. What I am going to do, I'm going to go pick up this item because there's an item there and I have an issue. I cannot leave items be. Pick that up. And go and open that door and then immediately homeward bone back. Why did I roll? I don't get to see them fall. Too many enemies just fade out. Now that I've opened that door, that's just some setup for later. We will be back here. I have to homeward bone back because you can't walk back to that bonfire. You can only get there via bird. So let's go back to Majula and head a different direction. Also take Pepsi's advice and some souls.
Is that a shard? Here, to see however...
Did I find a shard? Okay. Good. Well, since I need strength to use that weapon I found, let's just pump the shit out of strength. And go and buy some more bolts.
Huh.
So it always sounds so surprised that you're still alive and you get stuff.
I'll be around.
And equip some things. This thing. I found a liking for this when I first played Dark Souls 2 because, I'm not gonna lie, it is awfully similar to the lance weapons in Monster Hunter. Just in the way it feels, in what you can do with it. Not so much that, but that's the entirety of my point. As long as we're here, let's go and take a look at this mansion that fellow mentioned earlier. Also, I never went in here.
Oh, undead are we? And one without much time remaining. Just about ready to fall apart, I'd say. Not exactly the time to be chatting with a cat. Well, suit yourself. Oh yes, you may call me Shalqua. Enchanté. So, what did you want anyway? Ooh, you smell wonderful.
It's a cat.
This place is already dead. Everything will crumble and waste away so that something new may be born. Isn't it wonderful? This place is... We receive only the most peculiar visitors. Folk like yourself. It's enough to keep even a cat amused. Are you going to see the old ones? Those four who have grown so incredibly ancient. They must have sprouted quite a thick coat of moss by now. For heaven's sake, no one even knows their names anymore. Imagine that. Yes, nothing like yourself, for you have a most pleasant scent. It grows nicer with each passing day.
There are a lot of talking cats, aren't there? And by a lot, I mean 2. But that's still more than most games have, I should dare say. I mean, you really don't see that many regular animals, full stop, let alone talking or not talking. We might have a chat to a rat later.
Nothing suit? Well, that's dismay.
I can't afford anything you're selling, kitty cat. Those are cat people. I feel like there's a distinction to be made there. I never went and unlocked that door with that stone. I should have done that. There's a useful ring in there. Speaking of rings, that one I've got off that boss I should probably be wearing. Tiny evil pigs out there for some reason. I wonder if people were killing themselves up here again. I noticed there's bloodstains and there's really not much to fight up here. I can think of one thing, and we'll bump into that in a sec. Really not much up here. It's kind of weird. There's jumping required ahead. If you really want to fight these evil pigs, you can. There's... No, never mind. I was going to bring up a game, but wouldn't be surprised if no one knows what it is, so it's hardly worth the point. This would be the map that fellow was talking about. I think bloodstains are just an automatic thing. If you die, it might show up in someone else's game as one of those bloodstains. I understand that this was a this chest in particular was a special one that they used to put things in when they were doing at certain times, sort of like a promotional thing. I don't know if actually promotional is the right word, but sort of like, let's say event items might show up in this chest, but I think that is long since no longer the case. Messages you leave yourself. I could leave a message right now if I want. Be wary of leg. But pointless. That seems fitting. Just as a demonstration. Yes, you will encounter quite a lot of messages that you can pick up a little covenant here that is seemingly just for like pretty much basically just to make everything slightly more challenging, but we're not going to touch that, so it's there if you want it. Yeah, there's lots, and every time there's a skeleton lying somewhere, they'll be talking to the skeleton with the messages. Don't give up, skeleton. Some of it's funny. So much more interesting if it was Crimson Palmy. And we're generally just talking about palmies. Go for a palmy. There are two places that message is guaranteed to be findable. These fellows are not NPCs. And that alone should be enough to set warning bells off. Not gonna lie, there's not a whole lot of time left in this particular stream, but I have a feeling I'm gonna be in this area for a while. This certainly was the first time. I wanted to be one-handed because if you can chain two of the strong attacks together, you can get that sweep, and that's pretty handy. But takes a lot of stamina. Yeah, this is probably one of the harshest areas in the game. Quite a lot of it is because of these bastards. IMO. Got a little bit of cheapness. Yeah, well, it'll become more than apparent by the time we get anywhere. Say this is making decent work of them. Right up until the point where I remark upon it. It's a very nice looking area, but God, you will get sick of it. Just go back to the spear for a bit, maybe some more impact will help. Again, armor. How much damage that does. I'm just hitting him with a stick. Maybe I'll stick to the spear for right now. They do less damage than they look like they should. I hate that they use that sound for that. That has a very specific meaning. I don't know if you actually need to pull these levers. But you have reason why you might want that area to be a bit wider than it is. And it might be related to that fellow you can see down there in the, through that window. Get rid of one before the other one shows up. Because it will. What are you doing? These fellows aren't so bad now that I've gotten a bit more used to them, but they can be trouble when you first bump into them. Especially this area. You've got just about every kind and two of those sword fellows come at you at once. Now then, I can go this way. But I'm not going to. I'm going to go the hard way. Because I am a fool. The best plan I've got. Interesting. If that stays reliably, I can use that. Wish this bigger fellow would fuck off. Really booking it, isn't he? Back, I wasn't done. Also, forgot to pick up that item I saw over there. I do appreciate that Dark Souls, pretty much any nook and or cranny, you will find an item in. Which very much encourages exploring. Even if they're not always useful items. This one fellow gave me so much trouble, and I cannot promise that it won't happen again. Okay, retaliates with a poke. I hate them so much. They are much better with a spear than you will ever be. You alright, and I've been using spears quite a lot. And every time you go back, you have to fight these guys. These hammer ones are the worst. Not quite so bad as a relative of theirs that you'll find later on, but they're still shits. Fortunately, you can ignore that one. Oh, before I forget. Swing is always just slightly lower than I'm... lower. It's shorter. Is the word I wanted there. I don't know how I feel about ending the stream in this area. But also it was bound to happen sooner or later. Maybe I need to think about upgrading my stuff. I don't think that Grand Lance has any impact moves apart from that swing. I think they're all pokes. Otherwise I would very much be using that. I don't care, as long as I don't die to it, then I will survive. I was a little bit worried because you can hear that one shuffling around. That's just it. Turning to face you even if it's not going to fight you. Really shouldn't be wasting all my Estus now. Why'd that do so little damage? Unfortunately, running past is not much of a better idea in this area. Me? Find out how much health the life gem restores. Seems about as potent as the Estus, but and I've got more of it, but it heals slower. And also does not come back when I hit up a bonfire. This might have to be the last fight if I don't win it, and you can hear how pessimistic I am about it already. I'll take the advantages I can get. In fact, this seems to be working, so... Why change? Why fix what isn't broken? God, I'm messing up my words. I hate this guy so much. That's one obstacle down. The problem is I can't promise what's just past it is going to go any better. I was beneath it. Can't be like that. Don't know how you're supposed to get over there easily. Oh god, that's not the stairs. And going down the stairs didn't help. That was a bit cheap. But I should have figured after the first time. Okay, that's gonna be it for now, I think. That's enough Dark Souls. Lord knows I will let myself drive myself insane with this next time, rather than doing it at the end of a pleasant stream where we've killed 2 bosses. The dragon doesn't respawn if you kill it. But that's about the only thing that doesn't. And that's a problem. We have so many bolts. Anyway, I will bugger off. See everyone next time.